Hello everyone, hope you guys are having a great day. It is May 13th, and today I'm back with another video. Today I'm just going to be talking about, really, this, or the rest of this week's pretty active pattern, and I'm going to go ahead to next week. And also, we're going to talk about the tropics. In the last video I posted, I did talk about the tropics a little bit, but this one could affect the US a little bit more, so let's get started. Today I'm going to be using tropical tidbits for the first time in a while. Really not because the tropics are getting active, just because I wanted to use tropical tidbits tonight. But the tropics could get a little more active. GFS has been indicating something. It's pretty far out, but it's been indicating something kind of this pretty far out. So we'll look at that in a second. But first off, let's talk about severe weather. So tonight we have a marginal risk. We can see it's located in Nebraska, Kansas, and a little bit of northeastern Colorado. We do have some storm action in that area right now. Day 2, Friday, we have a large marginal risk that extends from Wyoming down into the Texas Panhandle. And then day 3, this is Saturday. This is the day I've been watching for a while. It has shifted to the west a little bit since when I first started looking at it around a week ago. But still see we have a marginal risk for areas of Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. And we have no day 4 through 8 outlooks, so that's good. Now, this is this afternoon, or this evening, really. Kind of have a surface low. I guess let's just say the four corners. Some storms in Nebraska moving southeast. And that is why we have a marginal risk. We have a high pressure, let's just say across the Midwest. And the East had a very weird pattern, or has had a very weird pattern the past 2 days. First of all, there was a significant wedge yesterday in kind of this area, and that brought that was really where the coldest air in the whole country was located yesterday, which is kind of weird. And this was kind of caused by that high pressure. And so yeah, we can see we have decent moisture up into the plains. And that's kind of tonight. Then we go to tomorrow. Pattern's going to change a little bit. We have a deepening low, kind of by the four corners once again. And GFS indicates some storm action in front of this. Now, to take soundings and stuff, we're not going to be using tropical tidbits. I don't like tropical tidbits soundings. I like the Sharpie soundings. So let's go to pivotal weather and let's look at Friday. So Friday, this is the same thing we were just looking at, but on pivotal. GFS indicates some storms here. Let's switch models. Let's go over to the latest HRRR. Actually, yeah, we're going to use the 18Z. HRRR indicates some storms in this area. Let's just take a few soundings. We're not going to take too many soundings, but this sounding right here, the shear profiles are questionable. They're not very good. This is a very elevated sounding also. It is capped. Overall, not very good, but this would definitely favor a very large hail threat. That's likely going to be the main threat of that sounding. And let's take a sounding further to the north. Let's take one right around the Oklahoma-Kansas border. We have a little bit more instability, a little bit less capping. Shear profiles are once again questionable, and sounding is still rather elevated. Overall, I'm not expecting much of a tornado threat out of this sounding, really. It's just slightly contaminated, but I'm still going to look at it. Really large hail seems to be the main threat. Of course, damaging wind can't be ruled out. I think damaging wind will also be a risk, but large hail seems to be the highest risk. Let's take a sounding up in this area. Once again, you're not really going to get a tornado out of this. That was in Colorado. I guess we can take one northeast or further to the northeast. See if it's any good. Yeah, that's kind of sad. Okay. Matt, you can see our marginal risk for tomorrow, which is Friday, extends up into Wyoming. I could see that a little bit, I guess. Overall, it doesn't look to be really a significant threat for tornadoes or anything. We have just enough moisture in some areas. I think if we get a slight risk, I have a feeling that we could see the addition of a slight risk. Let me fix my pen here. I think we could see the addition of a slight risk to maybe kind of this area. Of course, it's not going to look like that. Let me zoom in a little bit. I have really bad writing on computer here, but I'd say we could see a slight risk for kind of that area. I mean, it's gonna look a lot different than this, but I'm thinking that area could see the addition of a slight risk by day one. So yeah, maybe by tomorrow morning we could see a slight risk, and it'll definitely be for hail. I don't think that's really a whole lot of a question. Maybe wind also. Tornado threat though does not look significant at all, so that's kind of good. Let's try and get into some maybe some better shear. That's contaminated, so can't really use that. Let's try and take one in southeastern Kansas. This is kind of outside the marginal risk. Yeah, that's not going to support much. So yeah, now let's go ahead and go out to Saturday. Saturday afternoon. We're gonna switch over to the NAM for this. For Saturdays, severe weather events. This is Saturday evening. Saturday at around 7 p.m. That's Central Time, by the way. NAM indicates a kind of a lot of storms across the plains. A little bit further to the east on Friday. Let's just take a few soundings. This one's in Texas. Definitely a large hail threat. Tornado threat's very questionable with this. Now, you could see something out of this potentially. The problem is the sounding is elevated, which is kind of expected. And I mean, it's gonna be this is very questionable. But if you have, you could see something with that, I guess. Let's take one in South Texas. And okay, this is a little bit. This is kind of interesting. We don't have, these shear profiles really aren't going to support a tornado, but we have plenty of instability and still slightly elevated, but that's kind of expected. Let's take one in southwestern Kansas. Doesn't look great. Actually, let me go ahead and go to the next forecast hour. 03Z. NAM indicates maybe a complex of storms right there. Let's take a sounding in front of that. And that is contaminated, but that looks very interesting. Let me try and get a new one. Okay. These shear profiles are actually supportive of something. The Hodo, I mean, this doesn't look to be a great event at all. But these shear profiles are supportive of something interesting. Overall, I think Saturday is going to be a better tornado day than Friday. Now keep in mind, this is off the NAM model. This is just one model, so we gotta keep that in mind. But some of these soundings aren't bad. Look at these shear profiles. These aren't bad. I mean, it's not like gonna support a tornado outbreak or anything like that. But I mean, this is not as good. But I'd say we could see maybe a 2% for this area. I think it's gonna look different than now. Let's see what does the SPC have currently. Or they're not. Well, sorry, they're not gonna have a tornado outlook out yet. But I'd say we could get eventually. Despite looking at the NAM, we'll look at the HRRR tomorrow. But I'm thinking this area could see the addition of a 2% risk by the day 2 outlook, maybe tomorrow. Because this will be day 2 tomorrow. So maybe we could see the addition of a 2% risk to that area. And yeah, I do think we're going to see a 2% though for Saturday. Saturday looks to be interesting. And overall, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a tornado or two. Maybe even more, depending on. I'm not really gonna say how. I'm not gonna really say how much tornadoes we could get. But I think Saturday the tornado threat looks rather low. But overall, it looks interesting. And definitely, it's a definite chase day. For some people. If I lived in Texas or Oklahoma, I would definitely chase Saturday. If I had the time to, of course. But yeah, so that is Saturday. Now Sunday, the SPC doesn't have an outlook out for. But let's take a look at Sunday. Let's see what's happening. So we have a surface low, kind of centered around the Four Corners. Some windy conditions in western Colorado. Pretty large pressure gradient there. Really, the most interesting areas look to be, or really the most interesting area looks to be this area. This area up here, that would be this area, and really this area looks to be the most interesting. 3 areas. Now, these 2 northern ones, severe weather threat is definitely questionable due to moisture, but there is a frontal system that's gonna be moving through those areas. So let me just take a few soundings along this, and That's actually kind of good for hail and damaging winds. Let's take one in the northeast. I'm not expecting this to be good. Let's take one in Maine. Yeah, no, definitely not impressive. But overall, we have a nice dry line across Texas. Um, and overall, I think Sunday looks to be interesting. Maybe even as far north as Minnesota. Maybe areas like Fargo and Grand Forks could have a little bit of a thunderstorm risk. Does the NAM indicate anything going off? Let's see. NAM indicates maybe a few spotty showers in that area. But overall, maybe we could get a marginal risk in Minnesota on day 4, which day 4 is Sunday, which tomorrow it'll be day 3, so we'll kind of see. But overall, that area in northern Minnesota looks interesting. Maybe even eastern North Dakota also, along that front. I'm kind of glad I looked at that. And that'll actually be a potentially large winter storm for Canada there. Now, let's go back down to the plains. So I want to zoom into the south central U.S. For Sunday here and talk about this. So 00Z, we have our dry line. Let's kind of do a analysis here. So our dry line kind of like that. 00Z. This is 7 p.m. Sunday. That's Central Time, by the way. Take a look at where we have our best cape, and that's where the dry line is. So we have our best cape. Let me switch colors to yellow here. We're not going to look at too much ingredients, but we have our best cape kind of in this area, cape that's supportive of severe weather. The next thing is, I guess I'll just do storm relative helicity. Why not? Okay, so with helicity here, let's take a few soundings now. I want to get rid of this. Take a sounding here. Tornado threat with this is questionable. You could get a weak photogenic tornado with this, but definitely large hail. Large hail would be a definite threat with this. And plenty of instability, really steep lapse rates. Overall, looks like an interesting sounding for sure. Definitely think we're going to see a large hail throw. Let's take a sounding up in New Mexico. Yeah, no, that's kind of trash. These are all okay. This one's not. Yeah, no, that's not gonna support tornadoes at all. Take one in Texas. Okay, yeah, this looks interesting. This environment. Take one in Eastern Oklahoma. I'm just kind of randomly taking soundings here. Okay, Idaho though. All right. All right. So let me go back to precip type. Indicate some storms maybe in Arkansas. Let me just take a sounding in front of those. Severe weather risk, tornado risk also. So overall, this is I'm going to draw the areas I really want to watch for Sunday, and I do think that will have a severe weather risk. So first of all, we talked about this before for Sunday. I do think this area will see some kind of thunderstorm risk. The severity of that risk is questionable, but as of right now, I do think maybe by day 1, by day 1 I mean when it is Sunday, I do think we could see a marginal risk from the SPC, maybe for that area. That's kind of we haven't, I mean, of course, that's northern Minnesota, in North Dakota. That's, I mean, it is mid-May, though, so that area is starting to get more active, and I do think we will see a thunderstorm risk with large hail and damaging winds as the main threat. And then I do think we're going to want to watch this area and another area. Well, kind of just these areas. I'm just going to connect these. Really this area. And then this area. So those are the areas I want to watch on Sunday. And then I'm not really gonna go look at these a whole lot, but let's go to the GFS. We're just gonna kind of briefly look at Monday and days after that. So Monday, interesting, really across the plains, maybe the south also. Once again, a pretty active pattern. Okay, I don't know. That looks interesting for sure. I'm not even going to take a sounding with that. Let's see if the GFS is even consistent with that. Yeah, that's actually kind of consistent. That's weirdly consistent. 3 model runs in a row, about 6 days or 5 days out, my bad. indicates a something in this area, even storms this year. Let's just take a few soundings briefly. I'm gonna take like 2. Okay, that's not impressive. This is off the GFS, so really once we get to NAM, this will be a much easier event to forecast. But yeah, this looks really interesting. Damaging wind threat for sure. Overall, I'd say Tuesday is going to be a very interesting day for this area, right there. And Tuesday looks to be very interesting, for sure. GFS indicates something pretty significant. Then Wednesday, definitely the southern plains again. Maybe areas of the deep south, maybe Midwest, depends on how far north we can get the warm sector. Then Thursday, wow. The whole plains look really interesting with that pattern. But yeah, I guess that'll pretty much wrap up the video. Overall, next week looks to be a very active week for severe weather, just by looking at the GFS. This pattern looks favorable of maybe several plains days, and that'll pretty much start today, I guess, because we already have storms ongoing in Nebraska. But overall, next week looks to be kind of interesting. But yeah, I hope you guys have a good Friday. I probably will be posting again either tomorrow or Saturday. But yes, goodbye.